look at your hands. Feel the calluses that should be there, even if your skin has grown soft under the flickering glow of artificial lights and the numbing hum of a world that never sleeps. You were born from a lineage of survivors, men and women who carved empires out of frozen rock and stared into the black eyes of predators without flinching. But look around you now. The modern world is a cage lined with velvet, a gilded trap designed to domesticate the fire in your gut. They tell you that connection is everything, that the herd is safety, and that to be alone is to be a failure. They lie. They want you in the crowd, because a man in a crowd is a man who can be managed, measured, and eventually harvested. The barbarian knows a truth that the modern citizen has forgotten. The most dangerous beast in the woods is the one that walks by itself. When you are part of the mass, your rhythm is set by the slowest. Your vision is clouded by the dust of those in front of you, and your spirit is diluted by the expectations of the weak. There is a primal power in the silence of the mountain peak that the noisy valley will never understand. This is not a call to isolation for the sake of misery. It is an invitation to reclaim the throne of your own soul. If you feel that iron-cold realization sinking into your marrow, that the life you've been sold is a slow death of the spirit, then you are exactly where you need to be. If you are ready to stop seeking permission from the mediocre and start forging your own path through the wilderness, then commit to this ascent. This isn't just another voice in the digital void. It's a war camp for those who refuse to be tamed. If you value the harsh truth of the blade over the comforting lies of the cradle, join our tribe. Stay until the final embers die down. For the revelation at the end of this trail will change the way you see every shadow in your path. The warmth of the pack is a seductive lie, a heat generated by the friction of bodies huddled together in a shared fear of the dark. In the ancient days, to be cast out was a death sentence, but in this age of plastic gods and hollow virtues, to be cast out is the only way to truly live. Modern society has mastered the art of the invisible leash. It rewards the compliant and punishes the defiant not with the axe, but with the slow, agonizing erosion of the individual. When you move with the tide, you lose the ability to swim. Your muscles atrophy, your senses dull, and your intuition, that sharp predatory instinct that kept our ancestors alive, withers like a vine in the frost. They call it collaboration. The barbarian calls it the dilution of the blood. Consider the people you see every day, marching to the beat of drums they did not skin, chasing shadows they did not cast. They are terrified of the silence, because in the silence, the truth speaks. And the truth is this: you have traded your sovereignty for a seat at a table that serves nothing but crumbs of validation. The moment you decide to step away from the firelight of the collective, the world will try to pull you back. It will use guilt. It will use mockery. It will use the false promise of belonging. But belonging to a crumbling empire is a fool's errand. If you have ever felt that sudden, sharp pang of disgust while standing in a crowded room, a sense that you are an outsider looking at a strange and hollow ritual, then you have already begun to wake up. Reach into that feeling. If this resonates with your hidden spirit, if you feel the weight of these words like cold iron, recognize it. Write the word sovereign in the depths of your mind, for we are weeding out the spectators to find the warriors who are tired of pretending. In the forge of the wild, the hammer is isolation, and the anvil is your own unyielding will. When you are constantly surrounded by the chatter of the weak, you are like iron mixed with slag, impure, brittle, and destined to shatter under the first real blow of fate. The barbarian knows that true strength is not found in numbers, but in the purity of the metal. To walk alone is to subject yourself to the white-hot heat of your own thoughts without the cooling breeze of social approval to dull the intensity. It is in this furnace that the dross of modern conditioning is burned away. The political leanings, the trendy opinions, the desperate need to be liked. all of it is nothing but ash. What remains is the core, the raw, unyielding essence of who you are when there is no one left to perform for. Ask yourself, and be honest in the dark of your own mind. Who are you when the screen goes dark and the room is empty? Most people cannot answer that because they have spent their entire lives as a reflection of someone else's expectations. They are mirrors, not blades. But a mirror is easily broken, and it can only show what is already there. A blade is crafted through suffering and singular focus. This is the barbarian truth. You cannot find your own power while you are still trying to fit into a mold designed by someone who wants you weak. If you find yourself nodding, if the heat of this forge is starting to feel more like home than the soft beds of the city, then you are beginning to understand the cost of greatness. This path isn't for everyone, and that is exactly why it is the only one worth taking. We are moving toward a realization that will make the very foundations of your modern life tremble. The modern world is a cacophony of hollow voices, a relentless storm of noise designed to drown out the low, steady beat of your own heart. Every notification, every social obligation, and every trend is a leech clinging to your spirit, draining the vitality that should be fueled into your own conquest. In the ancient forests, a warrior knew that to listen to the wind, he had to be silent. To track the beast, he had to be still. But today, stillness is treated as a sickness. You are told that if you are not connected, you do not exist. This is the ultimate deception of the herd. They want you connected so they can feed on your focus, your time, and your primal energy. They want you to be a battery for a machine that doesn't even know your name. When you walk alone, you stop being a resource and start becoming a threat. The leeches cannot latch onto a man who is moving too fast and too far into the wilderness of his own mind. You begin to see the invisible threads of manipulation that bind the masses. The manufactured fears, the petty jealousies, the desperate need for a pat on the head from a digital crowd. The barbarian does not seek the approval of the sheep. He seeks the clarity of the mountain air. If you feel the weight of these chains slipping, if you feel the cold, refreshing water of your own independence washing away the filth of the city, take a moment. If you are one of those rare souls who would rather starve as a wolf than feast as a dog, acknowledge your presence. Write the word "unbound" in the depths of your thoughts, or share it with the tribe in the comments. It is a signal to the others who are listening in the shadows, a mark of those who have reclaimed their own path. We are climbing higher now, where the air gets thin and the weak begin to stumble. The herd fears the silence because they have no inner world to inhabit. To them, being alone is a vacuum, a terrifying void where the ego withers without the constant sun of attention. They view the solitary man as a pariah, a broken gear in their grand, grinding machine. But the barbarian knows that solitude is not an absence, it is a presence, the presence of one's own primordial power. In the quiet of the deep woods or the stillness of a midnight room, the masks we wear for the world begin to crack and fall away. You are forced to look into the eyes of the man you have become. And for most, that sight is more terrifying than any monster in the dark. They run back to the noise, the screens, and the shallow laughter because they cannot bear the weight of their own potential. But you are learning to stand in that wind. You are discovering that when you stop leaning on the rotting pillars of social approval, your own legs grow strong enough to carry you across any mountain range. This is where the true transformation begins. It is the moment you realize that the aloneness the world warned you about is actually the only place where you are truly safe from their lies. If this realization hits you like a cold blade to the chest, if you feel the strength of your own spirit rising to meet this challenge, let it be known. Write the word "fortress" in the comments below. It is a sign that you are building something within yourself that the world cannot tear down. It is a declaration that your mind is no longer a public square, but a sacred citadel. We are nearing the summit now, and the view from the top will reveal the true scale of the world you are leaving behind. The valley below is filled with the smoke of dying dreams and the frantic, aimless scurrying of those who still believe the system will save them. From this height, the bustling cities look like anthills, and the grand proclamations of modern leaders sound like the buzzing of flies over a carcass. To walk alone is to finally see the world for what it is. A vast, artificial construct designed to keep the human spirit in a state of perpetual infancy. The barbarian does not hate the city. He simply recognizes that its walls are not built for protection, but for containment. He understands that the safety offered by the collective is a high-interest loan that eventually demands your very soul as collateral. When you detach from the herd, your vision sharpens. You begin to notice that most emergencies in the modern world are manufactured, and most necessities are merely distractions. You realize that the man who needs nothing from the crowd is the only man the crowd cannot control. This is the ultimate tactical repositioning. While the masses are distracted by the flickering shadows on their screens, the solitary warrior is honing his edge, strengthening his frame, and mastering the landscape of his own consciousness. You are no longer a victim of the weather. You are the storm itself. If this speaks to your blood, if you feel the pulse of an ancestral power that refuses to be buried under the weight of modern convenience, then you are part of a lineage that spans eons. This path is narrow, and the climb is steep, but the air at the top is pure. If you are one of those who has stopped looking for a leader and started becoming one, let your presence be felt among the silent. Write the word relentless in the comments below. It is the mark of those who will not be turned back by the wind or the wolves. We are moving toward the deepest revelation now, where the path of the lone wolf meets the destiny of the king. The silence is no longer a void, it is a weapon. When you have stripped away the layers of social conditioning, you find that the aloneness the world feared was actually the womb of your true strength. A man who can sit in a room alone and not be devoured by his own boredom or anxiety is a man the modern world cannot break. The barbarian does not seek the warmth of the collective fire because he has learned to carry the flame within his own chest. He is his own sun, his own law, and his own judge. The shivering masses below look up and see a lonely figure on the ridge, but they do not see the peace of the predator. They do not see the clarity that comes when you no longer have to lie to yourself just to fit in. This is the secret that the architects of the modern cage try to hide. The individual is the ultimate power. Societies fall, empires crumble into dust, and grand ideologies are forgotten, but the man who has mastered himself remains. You are not a fragment of a whole. You are a whole that has been told it is a fragment. If you have followed this trail this far, you are no longer the person who started the ascent. You have shed the skin of the servant. If this resonance feels like a homecoming, if the iron in your blood is singing to the iron in these words, then you are ready for the final gate. Write sovereign in your heart, or share it with the tribe in the comments below if you have claimed your own throne. We are at the threshold now. The last truth is the hardest to hear, but it is the only one that will set you free forever. The climb is over, but the war has just begun. You stand now upon the jagged peak of your own resolve, looking down at the fog-choked valleys of a society that tried to drown you in the mundane. The barbarian truth is not a comforting lullaby. It is a cold, sharp blade held against the throat of your own complacency. You must walk alone, because only in that solitude can you hear the whispers of your ancestors and the thunder of your own potential. The herd will always fear the man who needs nothing from them, for he is the only one they cannot buy, break, or bury. Being alone is not a sentence. It is a sanctuary. It is the forge where you turn your scars into armor and your questions into convictions. As the sun sets on the world you once knew, do not look back at the flickering lights of the city with longing. Those fires are fueled by the spirits of the suppressed. Your fire is different. It is an internal sun that burns with the fuel of your own independence. You have reclaimed your sovereignty, but the wilderness is vast, and there are many more paths to master. This journey is not a destination, but a state of being, a commitment to the iron in your blood and the clarity in your mind. If you find your reflection in these words, if you are a wolf among sheep, then your place is here, with the tribe of the unbowed. This is where the modern spirit is reforged into something ancient and unbreakable. To deepen your mastery and further sharpen the edge of your soul, choose the next path on your screen. The next revelation awaits those who are brave enough to continue the ascent. The fire is lit. The blade is ready. Now go forth and conquer the silence.